So, have you ever wondered how prosecutors manage to take down an entire criminal organization and not just, one single person? Well, they often use this incredibly powerful legal concept. It's designed to prove that a crime isn't just some isolated event, but that it's actually part of a much bigger ongoing threat. It's called open-ended continuity. And today, we're going to break down exactly how it works. Okay, so here's the big puzzle for any prosecutor. Let's say you've caught someone red-handed, but you know deep down they're just a cog in a much larger machine. How in the world do you convince a judge that this crime wasn't a one-and-done thing, that it's actually part of a pattern that's pretty much guaranteed to continue? And the legal system's answer to that puzzle is this phrase, open-ended continuity. At its absolute core, it is all about proving a credible threat, that the criminal behavior we're seeing today is all but certain to be the criminal behavior of tomorrow. All right, let's dive into the official legal definition here. This one sentence really lays out the entire strategy. And I want you to notice that tiny little word right there in the middle, or. That's the whole ballgame. That one word creates a two-part test, giving prosecutors two completely distinct paths they can take to prove that a criminal enterprise is basically built to last. So let's break down these two paths because this is so important. A prosecutor doesn't need to prove both of them. They just have to successfully go down one of these paths to demonstrate that ongoing threat to the court. You can really boil these two paths down to something pretty simple. Path one is all about explicit words, a direct threat, a promise of more crime to come. Path two, on the other hand, is about implicit actions, a pattern of behavior that just shows crime is business as usual. So think of it as words versus actions. Let's start with path one, the specific threat. Now, this is the more direct of the two. It focuses entirely on the language, the actual words used by the criminals themselves. So the key thing to get here is that the crime that already happened, that's just the beginning. The real crucial piece of evidence is the promise of future crimes. In this scenario, the threat itself is what becomes the proof of continuity. Here's a perfect, really simple example. Imagine an extortionist tells a shop owner, "Pay us every single month or we'll be back." See? The threat isn't about a one-time payment. Those words, every month, that's what creates that indefinite future of crime. The court doesn't have to wait around for them to actually come back next month. The threat itself proves the whole thing. Okay, but what if there isn't an explicit threat? What if the criminals are smart enough not to say the quiet part out loud? Well, that is where the second path comes in. This one focuses on whether the crime is just, standard operating procedure for the organization. Right, with this path, a prosecutor doesn't need some damning direct quote. Instead, what they do is prove that the criminal acts aren't just random or isolated incidents. No, they're part of a system, a routine. The proof, as they say, is in the pattern. A good way to think about it is like a business model, but for criminal enterprise. Maybe they have a system for identifying victims, a standard method for committing fraud, and a regular process for laundering all the money. The very fact that this cycle exists and is repeatable implies it's going to continue, just like any regular business plans to open its doors again tomorrow. So just to recap these two approaches one more time, path one is all about that explicit promise of future crime. Path two is about the implicit system that's already in place, just waiting to strike again. So why does this legal distinction matter so much? Why are we digging into this? Because it is the bridge that allows the entire justice system to go from prosecuting a single, isolated act to dismantling an entire criminal organization. It's kind of amazing, really. It all comes down to this one single definition. This concept is the legal key that unlocks a whole new level of prosecution, completely transforming how the justice system views and combats systemic crime. At its very heart, what open-ended continuity does is it allows a court to finally connect the dots. It provides the legal framework to say, look, this isn't just one robbery or one case of fraud. This is a criminal machine in action. And that right there changes everything. The real-world impact here is just immense. Proving this pattern is absolutely essential for using powerful laws like the RICO Act in the U.S., which was designed specifically to fight organized crime. It allows for much, much harsher sentences. It targets the leadership at the top, and it focuses on preventing future harm, not just punishing things that have already happened. Ultimately, that's what open-ended continuity is. It's a lens, It gives the justice system a way to look at past actions, whether they're explicit threats or implicit patterns, and convincingly project the threat of crime into the future so that they can stop it in its tracks. And this all leaves us with a really fascinating question, especially for the digital age we live in now. When a criminal enterprise is just a loose network of anonymous hackers instead of, say, a traditional mob family, what does an ongoing entity even look like anymore? It really makes you wonder how this powerful legal concept is going to have to adapt to fight the crimes of tomorrow.